What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the FIFA 17 career mode. This is episode number 22, and today, guys, we are beginning a brand new season in career mode with Middlesbrough as we start season 2 at the Riverside Stadium, coming on the back of our very successful debut year in the series where we finished in 5th place in the Premier League and qualified for the Europa League. So season 2 begins today, and you're going to see in this episode 90 minutes worth of transfers. It's a transfer special today. You're going to see the full pre-season leading up to our first game of the new season, which will start in the next episode. And in this episode, it's just a transfer special, and I really hope you guys enjoy this because I know how much you guys love the transfers in my career modes. I do as well. It's so fun to try and sign so many players and sell some players too, and just basically try and transition the squad in each transfer window just a little bit further. And that's what you're going to see in today's episode, the whole of pre-season, all the emails, all the transfers. And I really hope you guys enjoy this special episode of career mode as we begin a brand new season. So coming into the second season then of the FIFA 17 career mode, as you can see the table just a moment ago there, 3 newly promoted sides of the Premier League. Newcastle returns to the top flight along with Derby County and Fulham as well. I was thinking that one of Norwich or Aston Villa would come back up with Newcastle as well, but instead it's Derby, Fulham and Newcastle United. You saw our initial emails there as well, and Sue of course left the club on a pre-contract, and we signed 2 players on pre-contracts, De Chilio and Tep of Milan and Stade Rennais respectively. They've joined the club on free transfers, and you'll see their stats in just a moment's time. De Chilio is 78 overall and Tep is 82 overall. I must say, for free transfers, absolute bargains. Really looking forward to both of those players this season, and I think they'll both go straight into our first 11. Also, our objectives for this season as well, you would have seen it just a moment ago. Of course, the off-the-pitch objectives are considered quite important by Middlesbrough, but once again, just like last season, they're not going to be something I'll be too focused on. For me, football's a results business as a manager, and because of that, I'm far more focused on what happens on the pitch. So our on-the-pitch objectives this season are to finish in the Europa League spot in the Premier League, to reach the round of 16 in the FA Cup, and in the Europa League, reach the semi-finals. So I've got to be honest here, 3 pretty tough aims. Once again, got to repeat our success last season domestically of finishing in the Europa League spot and reaching around a 16 of the FA Cup. And that Europa League objective, I've got to be honest here, that's quite strong. Reach the semi-final in our debut year in Europe in this series. That's going to be quite tough. That's going to be quite a tough thing to do because, as you guys know, Europa League games Thursday nights and not too much rest time between the weekend. And also, as you guys know, for me, the Premier League and the league competition of any series I do will always be the most important priority for me. When you're not getting much rest time, I'll have to rotate the squad quite a lot. If we get a tough group, we could struggle to get out of it, like in my Rayo Vallecano save last season. That could put us under a lot of pressure. So to reach the semi-finals of the Europa League, that's going to be tough. I think domestically we can repeat our success. We can repeat our success of last season, but European, in Europe, continental success, reach the semi-final of the Europa League, that could be quite tough. Anyway, our budget for this season is around £30 million. So just like I predicted when we ended last season, got about £100 million in tournament prize money. I did say I was targeting around £30 to £35 million. I'll take £30 million. Due to the wage budget, we might have to alter it a little bit and decrease a little bit, but I'd say it's about £30 million in total, so that's not too bad for me. And also, you saw the contracts there as well. Quite a few players just 1 year left on their deal. Obviously, notable ones such as Victor Valdez with just 1 season left in his contract. Probably won't get a new one despite his heroics last season, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And a look at the squad report and also our squad setup as well coming into this, our second season, and how the team currently looks right now. So as you guys know, when a new season starts, the first few weeks for me are all about player scouting. I don't need to sign players in the first 3 to 4 weeks. For me, this is the time I use to basically play the preseason friendlies, play in the preseason tournament, start scouting for new players and wondering where we're going to try to improve our squad for the upcoming season. Now, of course, last season, as you guys know, defensively, unbelievable. We were fantastic last season. Victor Valdez would have set a Premier League record for the most amount of clean sheets in a Premier League season. I mean, that's incredible from a newly promoted side. So defensively, we're totally fine. With the arrival of De Chilio as well, we don't really need to look into buying any new fullbacks or centre-backs, at least not in my opinion. But our main concern is the problem we had all throughout last season in front of goal. We brought in 3 new strikers last season, Tammy Abraham, Saido Berahino, and of course Callum Clutch Wilson. But only Wilson was a pretty successful signing in my opinion. The other 2 struggled quite a bit throughout the year, even though they were backup strikers for the most part. And of course, don't forget Negredo's now gone back to Valencia Borussia after his loan spell ended last season, so we need a new striker in my opinion. We need to bring in someone else. We need someone that can put the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. If we do want to qualify for the Europa League again, and possibly my personal aim is to break into the top 4, we can't do that scoring 44 goals or less. That's what we got last season, 44 goals, the lowest in the top half. We can't qualify for the Champions League when we can't put the ball in the back of the net. Simple as that. So this season, we have to score more goals. That's why my number 1 target is going to be a new striker. So as you take a look at pre-season and also the emails coming along with it as well, you'll notice that while this time was my time to put players on my shortlist and start scouting for new players to sign, we were getting bids for some of our players. 2 for Saido Berahino, both were rejected, and also 1 for our Uruguayan attacking midfielder Gaston Ramirez as well. Even though Ramirez has dropped to the bench right now, I'd still like to keep him here as he played very well last season. And also for Berahino, I know for large parts of last season he did struggle. He wasn't the reliable goal scorer I predicted at the start of the year. He's still someone I'd rather keep around, and this season I'm contemplating playing a 2 up top formation as well to try and make us look a little bit more threatening in front of goal, and maybe Berahino could be one of those 2 strikers. Still, the pre-season as well, how about this? We made it through our group despite not winning a single game or scoring a single goal. We didn't score once in the 3 games of our group, yet we still made it through in second place with just a measly 2 points on the goal difference record. How about that? And also some bids here. 1 for Alex Baptiste, who was out on loan last season. He's going to go to Ipswich. And also 1 for Grant Ledbetter as well. Now, Ledbetter is 31 years old. He's 70 overall. Derby County put in a bid here of 675 grand. It's under his valuation by about £175,000. I hope, fingers crossed, Mouse is right in this situation. But Ledbetter didn't play at all last season, really. He played a couple of cup games, but that was it. He's actually Middlesbrough's club captain, but of course we know the armband has now passed to Daron. So for Ledbetter, he's got a year left in his contract. He's going to go. He may be club captain in real life, but I'm happy to sell him and let him go to Derby County for less than his valuation. But still, our 4th and final pre-season game was against the French club Stade Rennais in the semi-final. We lost to Stade Rennais. We didn't score. We got beat by a goal to 0, and that basically just summed it up. As you can see here, we put in a counter offer here after Forest put in a bid for Adam Forshaw. That summed it all up for me. When we got knocked out of the pre-season tournament without scoring a single goal in 4 games. It's like, don't get me wrong, we made it out of our group. We got to the semi-final. We only lost due to a late goal, but it's like not a single goal in 4 games. It's like I can't score when I'm simulating the games, let alone playing the games. It's ridiculous. We know where the problems are here at the Riverside Stadium. It's not at the back, it's in front of goal. We've got to buy a new striker, simple as that, because simply put, like, we're not going to progress as a club unless we can find an out-and-out goal scorer. So just an embarrassing pre-season tournament campaign, not scoring a single goal. And again, it just carried on from last season. I was thinking after last season's embarrassment, only scoring 44 league goals, surely we'll improve for season 2. Well, if the pre-season tournament is anything to go by, maybe it'll be even worse. But anyway, we did see there Ledbetter and Baptiste got sold, as did Bradley Fuster, and also Forshaw looks as though he's going to go to Nottingham Forest as well. So removing some of the deadwood and players who simply put are on the fringes here and aren't going to succeed. And also a big came in for Barragan as well, our right back, 75 overall, 30 years old now. Deportivo put in a bid to try and take him back to Spain. He's valued at £2.4 million. They put in a bid at £2.1 million. We say meet his valuation and you can take him, because Barragan, he does have his contract coming the end of the year. He did alright last season at the right back role, not too bad whatsoever, was our first choice right back, but wouldn't be against selling him as he is set to decrease now. He's at his 30s, because we know that's how it works in FIFA, so wouldn't be against selling him. And if we can get around his valuation, I would certainly take it as we look for a younger replacement. And if we were going to get a younger replacement, wouldn't say no to this guy coming back on a permanent deal. Last season was here on loan. Callum Chambers from Arsenal, the former Southampton right back as well. He's valued at £3.6 million. We put in a valuation bid. Arsene Wenger said that's totally fine, so we offer Chambers a contract and we shall wait and see what he says. Also found it interesting as well, his player demands were less than what he's paid right now. He's on 54 grand a week. He was asking for 50 grand a week. And that's pretty cool, because last season you barely ever saw players take wage cuts, if ever. So that's pretty cool that now in career mode some players will take wage cuts if they know they're probably going to get more first team football. So Nice job from EA there, because of course last season it was pretty much impossible to get players to take wage cuts, if at all. But anyway, Barragan, Deportivo came back to us, said they wouldn't go higher than £2.1 million, would not budge, didn't want to cough up the extra 300 grand. So I said, you know what, fair enough, you can take him for £2.1 million, and we're looking to sign in Callum Chambers. Forshaw goes to Nottingham Forest as well. We offered Chambers a contract there, and we shall wait and see what happens for our right back role. And also following this as well, it was finally time to look into the striker role. Now, of course, this was going on during the preseason tournament, me looking for strikers, putting them on my short list and getting the scouting complete. It took ages to scout some of these players, but these are my 4 targets for the new striker role in this Middlesbrough side. Now, of course, with Saido Berahino, again, I do want to keep him here and hopefully he'll succeed. Same with Callum Wilson as well, but we do need a new striker, no doubt about that. So I put 4 players on my short list that were my main targets. Those guys are Malik of Napoli, the Polish striker, Borja Baston of a now recently relegated Swansea side in the game as well, Divock Origi, who now plays for Spurs in the game, getting sold from Liverpool. Wouldn't mind getting him to Riverside Stadium as well, see if the Belgian can do it here in the northeast. And also the final one was Luciano Vietto of Atletico Madrid. So wouldn't mind any of these guys coming in. We put in valuation bids straight away because, as I always say, valuation bids worth doing just in case. I mean, you saw just a moment ago there, we put in a valuation bid for Chambers and it was accepted straight off the bat. So always put in those valuation bids to begin with. We offer these guys, we offer these clubs valuation deals for Vietto, Origi, Baston and Malik as well. We shall wait and see what they say. Honestly, I wouldn't say no to any of these guys coming in valuation, but my number 1 target would be Borja Baston. I think he'd be a really solid signing for us and a different type of option as well up top. We have Wilson, we have Berahino as pacey players, but he'd be a bit like Abraham. You know, he's physically strong, Borja Baston, in terms of his height and the strength rating as well. And with a good finishing stat, I think it'd be a solid investment for us. But Callum Chambers did accept his contract here, so Chambers returns to the Riverside Stadium, this time on a permanent deal on a 5-year contract. £3.6 million was the deal we paid, and I think that's a really smart signing right there. Only 1 rating lower than Barragan, 8 years younger, and again, last season didn't play that much for us, played most of his games in the Cup, but whenever he did play, it was pretty solid. And as we know of Callum Chambers, he's not just a right back, but a centre back as well. So Chambers coming in really helps us get stronger in depth in our fullback role, and just in defence in general, really. And we're making our strongest area last season even stronger. So Chambers comes in, and again, for a valuation bid to bring him back on a permanent deal, I'd certainly take that. Still following that, I put in a bid there for James Ward-Prowse of Southampton. Thought to myself, with the sale of Ledbetter and Forshaw, might be able to sign a new central midfielder. I should say might be able to, we definitely can, but I certainly consider signing a new central midfielder to help us get stronger in that area, as Barragan then got sold to Deportivo. And also, as you can see as well, we had a useful monthly report here, and the clubs came back to us regarding the strikers we put in bids for. Swansea, Napoli and Spurs rejected our bids for Baston, Milik and Origi respectively, but as you could see, Atletico Madrid did accept our valuation bid of £19.5 million for Luciano Vietto, so we offered the Argentine a contract, and we shall wait and see what he says. Now, for those of you who watched my Hamburg save last season, do forgive me for making this very obvious comparison, but the reason I'm really excited for Vietto, and the reason I'm glad Atletico accepted this bid, is because he looks quite similar to Angel Correa. High dribbling, looks like he'll play a little bit deeper in the striker role, but as an out-and-out striker, I think he'd still be very, very good. Pretty quick, you know, pacey enough, I suppose. Maybe not the quickest, but quick enough, and hopefully a good finish on him as well. Being Argentine too means it's a natural comparison with Correa, but I think he'd be a really, really awesome signing. So we offer him a contract, we shall wait and see what he says, and I think for £19.5 million, that would be a really smart signing, and hopefully he could be the guy that puts the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. Touch wood, fingers crossed, praying to a God I don't really believe in anymore. Hopefully Vietto will be the one that really helps us improve our fortunes in front of goal. Unfortunately though, he did decline his first contract, so not off to a great start there, as Southampton rejected our bid for Ward-Prowse as well. We give him a new deal though, wait and see what he says. Up the wage to 55 grand a week, give him a bonus of 5% as well every time he scores a goal. We shall wait and see what he says to that new contract. And also another scouting update as well. Obviously I did say last season I really want to emphasise youth players in this series. I do think it is very difficult, and I maintain it's got harder and harder year after year to get youth players to become really successful in your sides. It just seems as though it's not the same as it used to be back in the good old days of FIFA 13, but you know, it's still something I'll try and look into as we get some more players into our academy there, and hopefully one or two of those will really succeed for us and become just as important as Diego Menendez. But anyway, following that, Southampton once again rejected our bid for for James Ward-Prowse. Why did I do that? James Ward-Prowse there. They said no to the £12 million bid. Once again, reiterated they want £17.5 million for their young midfielder. I think we can get him a little bit less than that though, so I'm still bartering, putting a bid of £14 million. Cheapskate Docs trying to do it again, and I guess we'll have to wait and see. Another contract for Vietto as well. He said he wanted a bigger role in his squad. First he declined because he didn't want to leave Spain, but now he says he wants a bigger role in our club. So we got off from a bigger club role of crucial first team player status, and we shall wait and see what he says to that one. And also West Brom putting a bid for Will Hughes. Hughes did alright last season, a bit of an average player really, but I think he's still a pretty decent player for us in our midfield, and he's still growing as well. So I'd like to keep him here, so we reject that bid from Tony Pulis, and we shall keep Hughes at the club. And also Hughes' former club, Derby County, putting a bid for Daniel Ayala here. Now the Spanish centre-half is valued at £3.6 million. Derby upped that to £3.9 million, but I like Ayala. He didn't play too much last season, but when he did, was pretty solid. We asked for, I think it was around £6.5 million. If they accept that, they can have him. Otherwise, I'd rather keep him here as a backup centre-back for Heinz and Espinoza. Also, the Saints did accept our bid for James Ward-Prowse. That's fantastic. So cheapskate Docs back at it again and succeeding with the less than what the club asked for there. £14 million for Ward-Prowse. We offer him a contract. We'll wait and see what he says. And also, Vietto does become our fourth signing of the episode to go along with Intep Sicilio and also Callum Chambers as well. In comes the Argentine, and I think he'll be a really smart signing. Valuation bid £19.5 million. He's 23 years old, and I think he looks like a really, really decent player. Once again, there's always a gamble for me when I sign a player that I've never used before, but what I will say is this: when I look at his stats right there, good ball control, good dribbling, balance is very high as well. I find that quite important in a striker as well. You know, for me, he looks like he's got the perfect stats to be the type of player that is just like Angel Correa in my Hamburg save, and because of how successful he was, I think like for like, that's a pretty smart signing there. So for £19.5 million, we're pinning our hopes on Luciano Vietto for our second season. I've given him the number 9 shirt, and hopefully he'll be a real number 9 that's constantly putting the ball in the back of the net. Still, to end today's episode off here, take a look at the media prediction. As you can see, they think we'll finish in 14th place this season. I think we'll finish a little bit higher. And also a question for you guys today as well to end today's episode off: when should we sell Victor Valdez? Let me know in the comment section down below, because as you take a look at the squad report right here, you can see that last season's best goalkeeper in the Premier League in terms of clean sheets picked up, now the record holder for most amount of clean sheets in the Premier League season, has already started decreasing in his goalkeeping stats before the season has even started. How unfair is that? So when should we look to sell Victor Valdez? Let me know in the comment section down below. His contract's up come the end of the year. I'd like to keep him here, but if he continues to decrease in stats, then I guess it's better to sell him sooner rather than later and make some money on him. You know, my personal opinion is that it would be better for us to keep him here for the rest of the year and then let him go on a free transfer come the end of the season. But maybe you guys disagree. Maybe you think we should sell him right now, cash in on him right now. I'd prefer to keep him, but if enough of you guys want me to sell him straight away, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll happily look into the possibility of doing that in this transfer window or the January transfer window. Still, as you can see, the lineup for this season then going into the first Premier League game of the new season, which you'll see in the next episode, we probably will play a 4-1-2-1-2 wide with Menendez as the cam and Berahino and Vietto as the strike partnership this season. Hopefully we'll score more goals this year. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Surely we can't do worse than last year, only 44 goals in 38 games. I guess we'll have to wait and see though, as a final look at the objectives once again. So thank you for watching this episode, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed the first episode of the new season, then please do leave a like. Much love to you and have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of the FIFA 17 career mode very soon.